Hi Stampers, this is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations here with today's live demo working with the Waterfall Canyon stamp set. It's actually a bundle this month. Let's get to my comments. This is the card we're making. It is a fun fold and it opens up kind of like that. Can you see how it's has an inside layer that kind of does a step? And it extends the waterfall. The stamp is not actually as tall as that. We are actually going to extend it ourselves. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So welcome everyone. On my desk, you can see all 6 cards that are included in my tutorial. If you wanted written directions on how to make all these cards, I do have a tutorial for sale that will show you all of these directions, including some, I guess I want to call them diagrams. Let's see if I can get this up here and show you. They will have something like this that will have the measurements. It'll tell you adhesive goes here. This is where a die cut goes. You know, I'll have one of those for each of the fun fold cards, wherever it's needed. That will be included in the tutorial. But if you watch the video, I am going to be giving all the instructions just like I did on Monday's live. And if you didn't watch Monday, I might suggest you go back and watch it. This was the card that we made, but it was so quick that we did spend a lot of time just going over the actual stamp set and how it works. So welcome everyone. I see people starting to hop on. You might notice they're typing in #Prize Patrol. That is because I am going to be doing a drawing at the end, and we will be choosing who's going to get this card in the mail. So you will have an actual live copy of this card to play with. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I cut out some of my pieces. I cut out my card base, 4 1/4 by 11, and then I have my 4" by 5 1/4 for the front. And then I used the largest of the layering circles dies, and I cut something out of the middle of it. I probably should have been a little bit lower, but we'll see how that goes. And then I saved the circle. I did it before I glued it together, so I do have just one, although you could do both and then the pop-up would have the green on the back. It's up to you. This piece here is 4" by 9 1/2, and then I'm going to bring in our scoring tool and we're going to score this one. So this is our Simply Scored tool. I prefer to use this one over scoring with the trimmer, although you can. I just find this one to be much more accurate because as long as you wedge it up into the corner here and you stay within a groove, there's like no way to be off, which I appreciate. I'm going to go ahead and score this at 2 1/8, and the 1/8 is going to be in between the 2 and the 2 1/4. Then I'm going to come in and do 4 1/4, and then 6 3/8, and that's just one little tick below 6 1/2. Okay, so that's going to give us our score lines. We're going to want to burnish those with a bone folder. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. How's everyone doing today? Got kind of a small audience today. Where's everybody at? Out enjoying the last little bits of summer. I am so thankful for the cooler weather. We're finally able to open our windows at night, and that's been such a blessing. so here is our kind of step. Okay, so that's what's going to go inside of our card. So I'm going to take the card base, and basically it's going to attach down here. There's going to be adhesive only under this section, and then only on this section. Okay, and on this section, I actually need to keep it away from this section here. So I probably want to mark with a pencil kind of about where that's going to be, because I don't want any glue here, because I want to allow the circle to pop up. Okay. And then I'm going to want to do my stamping probably before I adhere it. That's going to be much easier. Almost got ahead of myself. I was so concentrated on the putting it together that I forgot. We're going to want to stamp. Okay. It's because all of this greenery back here is going to be a whole lot easier to stamp when it's not connected. And we're also going to be brushing over it with these blending brushes. That's the word. So don't be intimidated by this stamp set or this card. I swear I'm going to make it easy for you. I see a couple of people dropped off already. I already scared some people off, but we're not going to let this scare us. Okay. We're going to be using the Waterfall Canyon stamp set. I'm going to need the waterfall. And like I said, we're going to extend the length of that. Then we're going to need the two cliffs. And I'm just going to need the detailed side of these. I had mentioned before that these are two-sided stamps. You can stamp the detailed side in a darker color, and then you can flip it over and stamp this in a lighter color and do one over the top of the other, and you get a different effect. But what I'm going to do is just go ahead and stamp it onto a colored cardstock, so I don't need to do the double stamping. Let's see, we need our tree. And I'm going to stamp the tree in multiple colors. So I will show you that. For the cliff, I'm going to stamp them in gray granite ink onto gray granite paper. And that's what's going to get us our double. Let's see, one of these I need two of. This one I already have one. Okay, so don't need that. I need this one, because I have two for each side, because I wanted it to extend all the way to the edge of the card. And then there are dies that coordinate with it. Now, the dies are part of the Perfect Partners sale. And I know I have said this all month that these are on sale, but they're a limited release, and they're only going to be available during the month of September, and we're halfway through. So these wonderful die sets are not going to be available after the end of the month. And this is one of them. So if this set intrigues you, you want to make sure you're hopping on and getting those. And I actually got a few emails this morning. People were asking me if the Trimming the Trees stamp set was on sale. And yes, indeed it is. That's the set I'm using, or I used last week. I used it last week, and it is part of the sale. I sent out a newsletter to everybody telling them what was in the sale, and there was a PDF list. I got a little bit of feedback that reading the list and the names, it doesn't help them out a whole lot. They needed pictures. And so I sent out the email a second time. I apologize for flooding your email box, but the second one had the photos. So Ah, Janice, welcome. First time watcher. I love it. This card is a little more complicated than we normally do, but welcome. And don't be intimidated. It's part of my wish is that everybody who comes here walks away feeling confident that they can do this. Okay. It is not to scare anybody. It's my goal is to make stamping easy. So there's no stress in stamping. That's our motto around here. So I'm going to pull out the die that's going to go with our waterfall, and then I'm also going to need the one for our bridge and our cliffs. Yeah, and I think I'll actually pull these out too. I've got these cute little birds. There's so many different stamps in here. You can get a whole collage going. It's fun, but I'm trying to just teach you the fold and kind of how this stamp set works. So I'm going to try to rein myself in and not get too complicated. This stamps, like I said, is this tall, but we need it to be taller. And so to do that, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to ink it up only to here. Okay, and I'm going to do that by laying it down on my stamp pad and just inking the bottom half. Okay. Looks like I have a little bit of a time delay. So I hope it's not being funky at your end. Okay, so there's my bottom part. I'm going to clean this off. This is one of our Simply chamois. I cut it up into fourths because I find it easier to use that way. Then I'm going to ink up just the top half. Okay, so now there's just ink from here up. And I'm going to put that way up at the top. Okay, so that's leaving us with this little section in the middle. And so we're going to do kind of the same idea. I'm going to come back in and I'm going to ink it up. But I don't want the top. So I'm going to bring my Simple chamois back in. And I'm cleaning off the top half. So now the only part that has ink on it is this section in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to set this down on here and stamp in the middle. So now we have an extra long waterfall. Now it does look a little silly in that it's, you know, bumped out at the sides, but we're going to trim that down. We can go ahead and fussy cut the whole thing, or we can run it through our machine and selectively cut. I show this quite a bit because I use it for fancy folds, and there's several different things where I will do a partial die cut where I only want it to cut to about here. And the way I do that is by setting it in the machine. Here's our mini Stampin' cut and emboss machine. Okay, so I'm going to set this down, and then I'm going to put in my die over the top. And then I'm going to set this over the top. Now I may want to hold it down with washi tape or a Post-it note, something to make sure that it stays put and does not shift. But then I'm going to crank it through. Okay, now because there was no pressure on the bottom, it only cut the top. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to lay my die cut down. And then I'm only going to do the bottom part. So same kind of idea. And now all I have to do is do some straight scissors and just cut between here and here. So that's how I'm going to have my extended waterfall. Is we're just going to trim up the sides now to make it fit. Yes, cutting it this way does. It gives a lot of options. No barking. Sorry, the dogs are starting to go off. I can hear them. Okay, so there's our long waterfall. Okay, so I'm going to cut out our little cliffs. Where did I put the second plate? And we need the second one. And I pulled my die cutting machine off to the side because I need to stagger the plates a little and get the right angle, or it kind of messes with me a little. Okay, this is where you can see it would be really easy to just add a Post-it note in there and keep it straight. Okay, and then we're going to need our little bridge and our birds. So for the birds, I'm going to use a piece of basic gray with adhesive sheet on the back. And what that does is it makes them stickers because they are so small. I don't want to have to try to put adhesive on the back of those. I could do it. I don't want to. Like I said before, this is all about making it easy. And this set, when I first started with it, was not easy. And so that's why I'm here to teach you how to use it, because our stamps do not come with directions like in the box. So you have me. That's what I'm here for. I give you the directions. Oops. there's that. Here's our birds. Now this is where I want my take your pick tool, because the take your pick tool fits right in those little holes and pops these guys out. I think I left it over on the conference table. Okay, so there's one, there's one. There we go. They are really little. They look good, but they're really little. Okay, so let's do our trees. And I'm going to do these in a couple different colors. I'm going to pull in Old Olive, Pear Pizzazz, and I think Mossy Meadow. On this other one, I did Garden Green. So any greens work. I also want to point out that as we're stamping, especially when we have these little stamps, we want to move them around, because if we always stamp just out of the center of the stamp pad, that's going to dry out and be uneven to the rest of it. And we don't want that. And no matter how, tight I'm trying to group my trees, there is still some space behind them. And that's why I was sponging behind them or using the blender. Now you'll notice I cleaned off my stamp the first time, but I didn't after that. Now, the reason is when I'm going from lighter to darker, it's not going to make any difference. But if I was to ink on the dark and then go to the light, I might transfer some ink. So that's where it's going to be really important that you clean the stamp in between stamp pads. So since the Pear Pizzazz is the lightest, it's not as important to clean. I mean, you still should, but I'm in a hurry, trying not to waste your time here. Okay, now this, remember, is going to be adhered to the inside of the card. So this will be covered with the card front or card base. So I don't need to stamp all the way up into there. No, I don't do random well. That's actually kind of funny. With my accounting background, this stresses me out. Oops. And I'm probably stamping in the area where our waterfall is going to go. That's not going to be as necessary either. All right, so I think I'm done with the trees. Like I said, I'm a little not so fond of the background being very vanilla. I wanted to say white, but it's not. It's very vanilla. Hey, Wendy, how did your dentist appointment go? Did you have to have that root canal? We can all relate to the fact that we don't like having dental work done. It's a necessary evil, but we don't have to like it, right? All right, so there is our trees. I'm going to do a little more blending on the circle. And I set that over here. So I'm going to do a little bit of gray granite along the bottom to match our cliff. And then I'm going to do some blue sky. Dead teeth. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Ugh. I'm sorry. Okay, balmy blue. Okay, then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some on the front of the card as well. So what I'm going to do is kind of set this in here. And this is going to tell me where my blue and the gray granite are. Now here you can see I started on the paper instead of off the paper. That's why I have that kind of darker section I didn't want. So if you don't want those, start off the paper so that your blob is on the paper, and then what's on the actual cardstock is going to be nice and smooth. Don't try to be in a hurry like me. All right, and then we're going to do some green, some trees. Then we're just going to need to assemble. I apologize for the noisy dogs back there. I could yell at them, but I'm sure you don't want to hear that either. Sounds like there's either school kids walking home or the neighbor has their dog out. Right. Okay, so blue, brown, green. Here we go. I put it away. That's why I couldn't find it. How silly, right? Okay. Who's ready to start assembling? Okay, here is our waterfall, our cliffs, our inside, our outside. We got all our pieces. Okay, so I'm going to start out with just adhering this on the bottom. Let's lose some liquid glue so I've got some wiggle room. Now remember, you don't need much of this. The lines I'm scribbling on there are really thin. Okay, and then I'm going to close it because I want this to be able to close and lay flat. So that's how I'm going to adhere the adhesive up here. Again, I don't want much, and I want to keep it within the circle and above the score line. All right. So starting to look like a card. Okay, for this waterfall, what I'm going to want to do is score along the bottom because that's going to be my first score line. And we can do that with a straight edge and our stylus. So that's going to go just like that. And then that's going to adhere right on this score line down here. Okay. Then I'm going to score again right at that bend so that it will continue to fold with the card. But remember, we have this piece that's going to go up here. So the top is actually going to glue onto the circle as well as this. So when I put the circle in, I want the circle to only adhere down here because I want it to come with the inside of the card. Sorry, that hadn't quite dried. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this piece on so we know how we're lining up with our colors. Sounds like Mark just got home from work. That's why the dogs were going nuts. So if you're walking over my head, that's what that is. Okay. Okay, now. Okay, so I'm putting it right inside the hole, so it's going to line up. But look, it's going to pop open with the card. You see how that's working? Then we're ready to put the cliffs behind here because I wanted to bury them behind the waterfall. And let's see. Okay, now this one, my bottom cliffs kind of went over the score line, and it's a little bulky there. So I think if they do that again, I might trim them off. Because I didn't like that right on the score line. I mean, it works. There's nothing wrong with it, but if it doesn't have to be there, let's not. But there's one side. And then this is going to be the other. So that's what's giving us our slope to the cliffs. Okay, so those ones are definitely above our score lines. But when I go to add these, let's see, I'm going to put that on this side. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll put it right there. Okay, I'm going to trim this a little because it's going to overlap. And this is not necessary. This is me being finicky. But then if I glue this here and then put this down, so you won't quite see where the two of them hit. Okay, is that making sense? And then I think I'm going to run this off the edge so that I can trim this up square. So while the glue's still wet, I'm just kind of checking that we're all lined up and everything's still working. And it is. Okay, and we have one more side. And that'll work, huh? Okay. All right. Now I tend to like to cut from the back side because I like seeing the two different colors. So if you can, I would suggest trying to do that. If not, go ahead and go this way, but you're just kind of using the edge of the Very Vanilla as your guide. Okay. This is going to work better because this is my dominant side. Coming together nicely. Anybody going to give this one a try, or am I intimidating people? Maybe with written directions. All right, so this I'm going to put just below that score line. I got this stamp set because I think it looks like the Perrine Bridge and Shoshone Falls, which we have here in Twin Falls. I think this also might need a few rocks around the bottom. I can stamp this in basic gray and then cut that out. Okay, let's go this one. While I have the stamp out, I just did two, so I can do one on each card. But there is a die that coordinates with that as well. It's right here. on me. Come on. Stay put. Okay, I think I need a Post-it note. What that's going to do is just hold the die in place, because every time I start feeding it through the machine, it's shifting. It's the card telling me this wasn't part of the deal. It was a last minute add-on to put the rocks on. I'm going to move to the bigger machine. I don't know why the bigger machine is easier to work. I have not figured that out. They're the same exact workings, just different sizes. The big one never gives me issues. And I have a friend who the little one never gives her issues. Guess it's just me. So there would be the rocks for the bottom. So we'll glue those down here. I think that'll help. And then our birds. Now again, I said I cut these out of basic gray and I put adhesive sheet on the back. So I'm just peeling off that little bit of adhesive sheet. And see, there's not much to them. They're teeny tiny, but I like the effect they give. And I had one more, which probably stuck with something, but there we go. There's our card, basically. So does anyone have any questions of how we went about doing that? Oh, my screen froze again. Here's our card. I'm just going to hide the desktop. It's frozen on my end. There we go. So here's our card. I hope you all like it. I have not decided what I'm working on for next week yet. If you have suggestions, I am all ears. If there's a stamp set in the catalog that you have that you don't know what to do with, I always welcome your suggestions and that you tell me what you would like to see done. And I will help with that. Okay, I'm going to need to share the screen again in order to get at our wheel. But I promise I will sometime today or tomorrow morning get up the photos and the little links for what I'm going to be doing for next week so that you have that as well and you will know what we will be working on. So if you have an idea of what you would like to see done, please message me soon. And we're ready to do Prize Patrol. So has everybody put in hashtag Prize Patrol? We're ready to spin. Okay, there we go. There's our winner. Congratulations. I think I have your address. I believe you've won before. Benefits of being here live and watching me make our cards. Also, remember that sale is only going on today. We have a 24-hour sale where Stampin' Up! Has discounted every stamp set in the annual catalog at 15% off. It's only the annual catalog, but it is everything in there except the host sets. You can't take 15% off of nothing, right? So everything in the annual catalog, 15% off for all our stamp sets, only today. So oceanfront, that's an idea. I believe that's up there. Yep. Can definitely do oceanfront. That's got some fun stuff you can do with it. It's some very basic shapes. You can do fun stuff with it. So yeah, we'll do oceanfront next week. That sounds fun. See what happens when you speak up? You get your wish. Thank you for everyone who joined. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the Facebook group to hang out and share ideas and talk. And I will see you back here on YouTube on Monday. Thanks for joining me. Bye.